Hello, everybody. I'm Bonnie DeShong, and I'm just coming and welcoming you to the ChiBlockBuilder webinar. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes, so be patient. I was muted. Again, I'm Bonnie DeShong, and we want to welcome you to the ChiBlockBuilder webinar. If you have any questions that you would like to ask that you have on your mind now, we're going to be taking those at the end of the webinar, but you can go ahead and put them in the chat now and ask them so that we'll be ready to answer them. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes, so be patient. Hi, everyone, again. This is Bonnie DeShong checking in. We're having people that are signing on. That's why we're taking a little bit more time to give everybody a chance to sign in. But for right now, we want to say, if you have any questions that you want to ask about the process, how much it's going to cost, do you have to pay taxes, all kinds of different questions that you may have about this, go ahead and put them in the chat now so that we can have them ready, because at the end of the webinar, we'll be answering all of your questions. So we'll be starting in just a few minutes, for real, okay? Hello, everybody who are just now joining us. I'm Bonnie DeShong, and I'm going to be your host for today. We're going to be starting the webinar soon, and I'm seeing that a lot of you are putting your questions in the Q&A chat. Please continue to do so. We'll be starting momentarily, and we can't wait to answer all of those great questions, starting real soon.
We're not supposed to be doing anything now, are we?
Okay, I think we might want to get started. So I'll just introduce myself quickly. Hi, I'm Margaret Decker with the Mayor's Office. We're really excited to be launching ChiBlockBuilder and having this webinar with you. I'll hand it to Kathy Dickett.
Hello, Kathy Dickett, Deputy Commissioner in the Department of Planning and Development. And yes, we are really excited to share ChiBlockBuilder with all of you and hopefully answer any questions that you have. So we have the Department of Planning and Development, with the participation of lots of other people, has launched the new land sales process to provide opportunities to purchase and activate city-owned vacant land in line with community priorities. And we really need to explain how this works with you so you all can access the website and apply for applications. So what the goals are of the program. So on the left, what we'd like to do is we want to market land and encourage development and maintenance of vacant land in the communities. We want to prioritize, well, we will prioritize sales to neighbors and individuals from the community. We need to make land sales more efficient and easier for applicants. And also, and more importantly, most importantly, increase transparency about what land city owns in your community and the land sales process in general. What we won't be doing is sell land in an arbitrary or non-strategic way, sell land to speculators that are just going to keep the vacant land and do nothing with it, and sell land for projects that don't align with the priorities of the community. So the land uses, and we've had many discussions of how to prioritize and the website will show you the priorities and centers. The first priority for land is to get more residents and houses in the neighborhood, right? So we're selling we're looking for applications for affordable housing and for market rate housing. So that will be a priority. We do expect more than one application for a number of lots. So understand this priority, because that is what we will be looking for. Now, we also do want to sell side yards directly to adjacent neighbors. And we don't want you to mistake the fact that if you buy a side yard, that does not mean you can't build on it. You can do whatever is allowed by zoning if you buy a side yard, but you don't have to. You can just fence it off and use it for your own use. We will also have some commercial properties. Most of the vacant land is residential, but some of it is commercial, and we like the commercial property is intended for businesses that are already there or for new businesses. Then there is a category for open space, and this primarily would be in residential areas, but also on commercial strips. And those open spaces would be for recreation. They would need to be developed. They would need to be managed. So key takeaways: in order to purchase land, you must have a feasible plan for property. We will not be sold to speculators. But if you are in the neighborhood and have a plan, we need to see an idea of what it is that you want to do. What we're not looking for is people just holding on to land and really doing nothing. That is not what this is about. Applications from local homeowners and small local developers are the priority. This is the first opportunity to buy land for this This is the first of several opportunities, and this is the first time we're marketing land in this way. We do intend to do that again, but this is our first time in putting the land out for sale for this many uses at one time. Land will be available at market rate for commercial and market rate housing development, and at 10% of market rate for adjacent neighbors and for community open space projects. And there are resources available to assist you all in completing your applications as we proceed. So dates. So we opened the application on November 17th. Today is an information session. We'll have another one on the 12th. And applications closed on February 3rd. So we wanted to provide ample time for people to get used to the site and to think about what land they want to buy and then to complete an application. At the end of April, after the city has looked at all the applications and reviewed them for eligibility and then looked at the priorities, applicants will be notified. And then May through June, DPD prepares land sales ordinances. The legislative process of going through Council for Land Sales does not change. What we're really changing is the process to apply. How do you know what's available for sale? Well, this is the website. And what we have put on the website is all the land that the city owns, but we don't want you to be confused with that. We want you to know everything the city owns because there will be potential future sales, as we've said. But lots that are available for sale you will see those, and you will be able to click on those, and there will be an application. You will be able to apply for them. If they're not available for sale, we will tell you why, and some of those reasons might be that we haven't finished an environmental clearance, or that there is an ongoing program or a plan in process in the neighborhood. And until that is completed and there's a direction for what that land should be used for, the city is not going to market it. And when we do, it'll be looking for proposals in line with those plans based on community input. There's also going to be a button for lots that are on the website to that you can let us know if you're interested. And one of the reasons we're doing that is because we want to know where people are interested in lots so that maybe we prioritize those for future sales. How will they be supported in completing applications? Okay, we've got a great team here. So we're doing virtual sessions with our RUD resources in Spanish and in English. We will developing application guides and checklists. We will send out postcards to owner occupants of vacant lots so that they know that this is available, encourage them to apply. And we will also be putting yard signs out there so others on the block will know that this is a lot that the city is marketing right now. And please call the number you see right below, and you can get more information at info@ChiCagoBlockBuilder.com. How did we determine the value of these lots? This is a big step for the city here. Because previously we had to do individual appraisals. Now we have partnered with CBRE, Urban Land Team, who have conducted market assessments of all of the property that we are currently going to market. They use something very similar to what we would do with an appraisal, a sales comparison approach. They basically gathered sales information on vacant lots in an area, a micro market area. So this isn't just like you're being valued of land across the city. This is a very small area of any community area, and they have looked at comparable sales and they have come up with a value. So you will see for every lot that's available, a basic market value. And you know, things, but that's fine, let's go on. How was the marketing list determined? Well, we did, as I kind of alluded to, we did remove any kind of lots where we have projects underway. We work with our Department of Housing to make sure that we're looking at areas where we need to focus on affordable housing construction in the future. We worked with the regional planners to identify strategic holes. Some examples of that are anything on an Invest Southwest corridor, areas around the Red Line extension, area around the Inglewood Nature Trail. We started meeting with the aldermen beginning in July and continue to meet with them and continue to have meetings in the community with them to review and confirm these lists. And then another thing that is really huge here for the city is that we reviewed all the environmentals of all the properties, and those that are ready with enough research to say that they are environmentally cleared, those are ones that we're marketing, which means you will not have to do an appraisal or an environmental assessment once these lots are, once you apply for these, are the successful applicant. How are we going to evaluate them? So hopefully we have lots of applications. So again, the applicant priority is buyers living on the block, residents of Chicago, and small developers. Those are the priorities. Project types, new housing construction is the priority, followed by side yards, followed by open space. Feasibility, we need to see that the projects have plans and designs and realistic timelines that are consistent with existing zoning requirements. Experience, especially if you're moving into the building arena, what kind of experience you have completing a similar project. Financing, do you have existing financing, or have you identified existing financing to make sure you can do the project? And neighborhood benefit, what is the priority for the neighborhood there? And especially if you're doing an open space or something on the block and you do not live there, we're going to need to see that the residents of the block also support the project. Land sale application example. Here we go.
All right, so now we're going to run through an example of what it's like to actually go through the whole process. So looking at the website, finding information, and then filling out the application. So I'm going to share my screen and walk us through that. So just give me a minute. I don't know if maybe in the interim, we want to do a couple live question answers at all while I get that ready.
Joseph, we don't hear you.
Hello, everyone. Kathleen, I'll just ask a few questions as we wait, if you could answer.
Sure.
The first question is, are the property surveys available?
No, we did not do property surveys for any of the lots.
The next question is, will the program permit land purchasers to establish parking lots or parking garages?
Every kind of projects like that will have to adhere to zoning, right? So parking garages are not allowed in a residential area. They may be in a commercial, but that will be additional work that an applicant will have to do if they are approved, because that, again, that has to adhere to zoning.
And then the next question that we have is, will the program permit, we did that one. If an owner has begun a process of purchasing a lot that is adjacent to their property in Inglewood, would that owner be able to apply for this program?
So there's two things. If we've already accepted the application, so we are still processing large lots and ANLAP applications that came in before July, those should not be marketed. Now, but if you kind of inquired during that period and you have not, and we have not started working with you, then you should definitely apply for this process.
Okay, so I think folks can see my screen now, so I'm going to go through. So the first step is to go to chicago.gov/blockbuilder. And so that takes you to the ChiBlockBuilder homepage. You can read a little bit more about the program, and you can also see information about all of the eligible land uses. So I'm going to pretend that I'm looking to buy a side yard. So I would click on the Learn More button to learn more about how to actually go about applying and purchasing this. So I see that I'm eligible as a adjacent homeowner to purchase for 10% of market value. I need to own and live in the property directly next to the vacant lot, be able to maintain and care for it, be able to pay the property taxes, and then demonstrate my proof of ownership and residence. You can also see this through an application checklist. So we have this here. You can scroll down and kind of see exactly what you need to provide here as well. So now that I'm ready to apply, I'm going to go to the city-owned land map, which shows all of the land that's available for sale. So I can see, like, if I want to zoom in on a specific community area, so let's say Austin, I can kind of zoom in here, find a lot that I'm interested in. So let's say that, I live right next door to this vacant lot at 531 North Laramie Ave. It shows me the PIN number, the zoning, the square footage, and then the market value. So it's valued at $9,443, which would be a 10% discount, or 10% of market value discount for a homeowner would be $944. And it says that applications are open for any use allowed by zoning. So I would like to apply for this parcel. So my first step is to fill out the eligibility screener. So I'm going to put my name, my email address, my phone number. I'm just going to make one up. And then I'll say I represent a local resident, so I'm a next door neighbor. And then I'm going to select the side yard and continue. So then it's going to ask me some questions to make sure that I am ready to apply and purchase the property. So yes, I own the property directly next door. It is my primary residence, and I have a copy of my deed and proof of residency that I can upload. I am able to pay property taxes, and once it's purchased, I can fully maintain it. I'll mow it, the grass, and fence it. So based on my answers to those questions, I'm invited to apply for this parcel. So I'm going to copy my applicant code, and this is also going to be sent to me in an email so that I can start my application. So I will click Start My Application. I'll need to actually create a submittable account. So I'm already logged in, but if you don't have an account on Submittable, you'll need to create one. But this brings me to my application. So I will paste in the code that I received from ChiBlockBuilder and then start to fill out my application. So I want to purchase a side yard. Here's my name. Here's my email address. I'm entering my phone number again. I'll say my address of where I live. I'll just put City Hall. So here we go. And then I'll answer some more questions. So how long have I lived there? What type of applicant am I? I'm a sole proprietor, I'm an individual. And then I'll copy and paste the information directly from the website about this parcel. So I'm copying 531 North Laramie Ave, and then pasting that information into this parcel information. So I'm going to grab the PIN number, paste it in, the zoning, so it's RS3, the market value, and then 10% of the market value, which is 944. Then I'll fill out some information about the project details. So I anticipate starting to make improvements right away as soon as I purchase the land. I want to use it as, let's say, a fenced yard. And then I'll upload documents proving, so I'll upload a copy of my deed, can just kind of browse and find that. And then also a picture of my ID, which shows that this is my home address. I could also use a utility bill from the last 30 days. And then finally, I'll fill out some demographic information, how I heard about the program, and then I'll consent to sharing my application with evaluators who are going to evaluate the impact of the program and then certify that all this information is correct, and I should be able to submit. So that is the full process for actually applying for a lot as a side yard. For the other types of applications, so we have open space, market rate housing, commercial, and also affordable housing. There's slightly different questions. The ones for actually building something, the application is a little bit more complicated. We'll ask you for more information, but it's for open space and side yard, it's very straightforward, and it just kind of follows this process. So that's the end of our demonstration here. And then I think we can just open it up for general questions. So we'll kind of go through the Q&A in the chat.
Okay, everybody, that was wonderful, wasn't it? We want to thank Kathleen Dickett, who is for those of you who have not met her, you came on a little late. She's the Deputy Commissioner of the Bureau of Citywide Planning and Historic Preservation in the City of Chicago, Department of Planning and Development. And she is here, as well as others, to answer questions. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bonnie DeShong. The name may be familiar from radio, TV, and as well as a contributing journalist to the Chicago Crusader newspaper, among other things. We want you to feel free to ask questions. We have quite a few here in the Q&A chat. I'm going to be asking them, and we'll have people come on and answer the questions for you. But before that, we want to let you know that if you want to know more information, you can always go to ChiBlockBuilder.com. So here we go into the questions. All right, our first question is from Crystal. The question is, I've applied for a lot in 2019 that is adjacent to my building. Excuse me. I see that it's due for environmental clearance, and it's been like that for a year. What does that conclude of?
So first of all, let me apologize to anybody on this call who has applied through large lots or ANLAP prior to this, for the length of time it's taken us to close on some of those. And partly that is because we started to do environmental reviews of all residential property in 2018 of all 10,000 properties, and it has taken a while. So what our environmental clearance is, if you're asking what the process is, we're working with our brownfields people in another department. What they do is they look at historic maps to make sure that the property was always residential, that was always a residential use. And then they also get information on any kinds of violations or underground storage tanks. This is information that they get from other sources to make sure that there isn't anything in the vicinity of that lot. And the reason we need to do that is there are very small number of cases where perhaps the zoning was changed, let's say sometimes in the 90s, but maybe some of you remember that there were little gas stations on corners in the neighborhoods back in whatever, the 70s and 80s. And then they were demolished and they were vacant lots, and we did not have that information recorded. So basically we started a process in 2019 of looking at all of that information. It has taken us some time to do that. We are still doing that. We have cleared 2,000, and that's what we're marketing now. And we're in the process of going through the rest of them. So that is what the environmental is. And again, I apologize if you have been stuck, and we are doing our best to get you unstuck. for those applicants who have applied prior to opening up this program.
Great. Our next question comes from Gabriel. Gabriel says, good morning, all. My question is, do individuals or newly formed companies who have no previous experience building single family or multi-use properties have a chance to secure a lot, assuming we submit all the paperwork?
I would say you have a chance. Absolutely. I mean, we do want to help new developers, new small developers, be able to build. We're absolutely looking for that. So I would encourage you to apply, to provide ideas and plans that you have so far, provide some sort of, I don't know, references or whatever you have to show us that you can get the financial resources you need. And, you know, perhaps tell us other experience you have that would provide confidence that you'll be able to do the job. But definitely, we encourage you to apply.
Great. Tiffany says, I was told that the lot next to my property will become available for sale once the program rolled out, but it's not on the list. Is there any way I can find out when the lot will be open for sale?
If it's not on the list now, then it most likely means that we're still going through an environmental review. If you're a residential lot somewhere, you know, in the neighborhood, you know, outside of somewhere where we'd be holding it for planning purposes. You know what I would do? I would say select that I'm interested button and let us know that you're interested, because again, we have so many lots, 10,000, we're trying to tier them in a way of where we know people are interested. So I would recommend that you hit the I'm interested button so that we can potentially move that up into the environmental review process, finalizing the environmental review process.
And we want to remind everybody, if you have a question, go into the Q&A chat and you can type your question in there and we'll get to it as many as we can while the time allows. Stephen says, is there a way to find out who the developer is if there is a pending sale now?
Is there a pending sale now? You mean on lots that are, can a little more on that?
I
About
don't-
the developer?
That's all that he put in there.
Well, okay, I will say this, if there's a pending sale now, it will have to go through city council. So that would be public, but also for those kind of specific questions, I would put those in the chat with sort of like, what's the lot? What's the address of the lot? Because we can look all that information up and respond, but not in this form. We can't pull all that information up. But if you do that, we need to know what lot you're talking about.
Valerie's question is, will we have support on zoning and rezoning needs? So zoning, again, the lots are being sold in area for residential and commercial. Support on rezoning. Well, that's going to really depend on the plan, right? I mean, most plans and the way we've identified, you know, housing, open side yards, open space commercial shouldn't require any rezoning, because all of those things are, you can do those with residential zoning. If you're doing something outside of zoning, then that is going to take a little bit more, a few more steps. And it's also going to take a stronger proposal to explain why you need to have a rezoning. Okay. And Nico has several questions.
Okay, Nico.
Currently, there's about 2,100 lots on the market. When will they start releasing more, and how does a process work? And when will we be notified that the next block of lots are going on the market? That was just question one.
Okay, I'll see if I can remember all those pieces. Well, to be realistic, we will probably not be doing a process like this with this many lots anytime sooner than fall 2024. But you know, now that we have ChiBlockBuilder, that is a place I would consistently check in, because we can put in updates just like as I said earlier, you know, you'll be notified of your applications in April. So once we hit milestones, we will make that information, we will post that information on ChiBlockBuilder. Did I miss part of this question?
Yeah, I think
On
you
the
got
first one?
most of that particular one. The second one is how long does the process take from the time we address a lot to the time it goes through the entire process?
So address a lot. So I would say, I would respond to that question by the time you've been notified that you are the winning applicant, let's just say, which should be April, then it depending on what you're doing. So if you're a side yard applicant and you're the winning side yard applicant, that should take, that would take a city council process is 3 to 4 months, and then we need to close, right? Now, if you're gonna build something, that's a different process because we will be looking at what are you building? What does it look like? There'll be more, you will have to provide more information. So to summarize that, the more complex work you're doing, the longer it will take because there will just be more steps.
All right. And his last question is, we paid thousands of dollars to get an APA. Does the city hire that company with the down payment, or do we have to hire them?
An APA, I don't really understand.
I don't
I
have
don't know
a
what
clue.
that means.
Okay. All right, we'll go on to Ashley then. Are there any RFPFs available specific to ChiBlockBuilder or otherwise to fund projects for developers?
RPS? Again, I'm not
That's-
quite sure what that question is asking.
I think
Yeah, are
maybe
there
they
any-
mean RFP.
Are there any
request for
RF
proposals?
Okay,
Not right now on ChiBlockBuilder. There are not any current RFPs. And I would say the RFPs are going to be, when we do have RFPs, those will be larger in nature, right? So an RFP is going to be for a more complex project, either bigger density or more lots. So right now that we are not marketing any RFP locations.
okay. And we want everyone to also know that if we don't get to your question live, your question will be answered via writing. Okay, so don't worry, all of your questions will be answered. And if I mispronounce your first name, please forgive me. Abdus says, do I have to immediately build on the property, and how long can I hold the property before it's necessary to start construction?
Well, again, that's going to be one of our criteria in evaluating an application. So you're going to need to explain how and when you're going to do that. Again, the idea of holding land and just holding on to it is not what the priority is. So it's not that you're going to have to start building right away, right? That you close and start building right away, but you are going to need to have a reasonable timeline and explain why that is the time.
Okay. Crystal asks, what does it mean when a property says plan in progress and it's not for sale? Will it be for sale eventually?
Yes, it will be for sale eventually. And the best example I have for this is if you're down on the far south side in the area of the Roseland Medical District, we are marketing some properties there, and we are marketing them, and we have a couple places where we're doing that, where we're looking for a particular thing. And in the instance of the Roseland Medical District, there's a plan that talks about what the community and the department see for those vacant lots. We will prioritize in that instance lots that are doing something that aligns with the Roseland Medical District. And if it's commercial, let's just say it's some kind of medical facility or something. So for the areas where there's a planning process, we will be marketing those properties or RFPing some of them, and they will be in line with the goals of those plans. So yes, they will be marketed, but as I said, we have to finish the plans and then determine what the community and the city is looking to see on those lots.
Okay, this one is from Larvetta. If you are interested in a lot near your home, do you have to own where you currently live? Do you have to present a plan for the purpose of the lot to be considered a buyer? And will there be funding partners to support new development?
So you don't have to own, but you do, but priority is going to owners on the block. So let's just put that. So, and owners on the block, adjacent owners on the block, it's a 10% cost, right? But if you're not an owner on the block, then the value is different and you are less of a priority. Not that we don't want to see that happen, but we are prioritizing residents of the block for adjacent properties. Are there financial, I believe they were asking, are there resources
Funding
for
partners to
development?
support new development.
Well, I would say the biggest funding partner that we have is in the affordable housing arena. And so there is an application for if you're building affordable housing, and there are different incentives and different programs there. For market rate housing and for side yards, we do not have any particular resources at this time.
And I'm not sure if you answered this one, forgive me if you did. Do you have to present a plan for the purpose of the lot to be considered a buyer?
Oh, yeah, we are looking for your plan, and you got to have some intention of what you're doing, and you need to explain it, because again, we are not looking for people to hold land and wait for something to happen. We are looking for things to happen.
Zubair says, I am interested in 3 lots adjacent to my building. I was told they belong to the city, but not environmentally cleared. How long will it take to get clearance?
So this is similar to a previous question. I am going to encourage people that see those lots to use the I'm interested button, because that will help us speed up those that we're going to work on getting environmentally cleared. I can't give you an exact timeline because we have so many, but we will provide lists to the people that do that of those where we see interest.
Viana asks, can non-traditional lending products be used to resell to buyers?
Can non-traditional to resell to buyers? I don't know that, I mean, if you're asking, are we going to look at non-traditional lending sources in your application? I'm sure we will. If you're doing something after we sell the property and you've built something, I don't think we really have an opinion on that.
Okay. Clifton asks, could you please explain the property tax process after closing? Will there be some sort of deferment?
There is no deferment, and we have always encouraged buyers to check in on your property taxes. There will be a lag in the time you get the property tax bill, but that doesn't mean that the property taxes aren't accruing. So you own it and you haven't got the property tax, you've owned it for a year and you haven't got a tax bill. We would encourage you to, check in on that, because you don't want to get a big bill later on for all the time you've owned it. We are clearing taxes, so you won't inherit any taxes that haven't been paid, but do follow up on that.
Okay, I think this one kind of sounds like one that's been asked before. Clifton, will there be assistance in purchasing the land, grants, low interest loans, etc.?
No, we are not providing any financial assistance in purchasing the land, but we are providing the 10% discount for certain types of land to certain types of eligibility.
All right. Vontae says, can we purchase tax delinquent land? How is that process?
Well, you can, but that is not the city process. So if you're looking at tax delinquent land, we encourage you to go to the Cook County Land Bank and look at their process. It's not, that's unfortunate, there's a lot of different government agencies. That's a separate one. They have a separate process. But we encourage you to go to the Cook County Land Bank, and somebody can put that link in the chat for people.
Okay. Carolyn asked, are you required to be ready to start your proposal right away, or is there a time frame to start?
Again, I would encourage you to tell us when and why you're going to start your project in the application, right? We need to be convinced that the project is going to be underway and that you can do it. If you don't like a side yard and you're going to just fence it right away, fine. If you're going to do a community open space in a residential area, we're going to need to see that you're going to do that within a reasonable time period. And reasonable will depend on what you're trying to do and the steps to get there. And if you have steps to get there, I would explain those steps, like I'm going to fence it, and then I'm going to build something, and then I'm going to, so we need to see activity on the lots. Again, we don't want to see vacant lots with nothing happening.
Okay. Naima asks or says, I have adjacent I have an adjacent vacant lot that I've been attempting to purchase since 2020. It says the lot is unavailable to the Woodlawn RFA. Can someone explain what that is?
I'm going to see, do we have someone on the team from DOH here, or Maggie can explain that? If not, I will just say that is basically, let's call it a planning area, like the other planning areas we have, where there is a plan for that, for those properties for housing. And that's why they're on hold. I don't know, Maggie, did you want to add to that?
I would just add that the RFA stands for Request for Applications. It's specific to the Woodlawn community, and I believe that the application period was open over the summer. And so we should have more information for you about next steps very soon.
All right. Clifton, who will be liable for the appraisals and environmental testing? If
Well,
potential buyer, will there be any financial assistance to cover the cost?
I'm going to say that financial assistance has already been provided because we have done that work, right? So there is no appraisal. That's what you will see, a value, which is equivalent to an appraised value on any lot for sale. And that we have already done for the 2,000 properties, which is great. And so no cost there for the buyer. When it comes to the environmental, again, all the lots have received that we're selling an environmental clearance. Now, you will not need an environmental clearance from the city to buy the property. Now, if you're going to be doing something in the future, maybe a lender may require that for their use, but you do not have to do that to buy the property from the city. And that's really one of the main changes we have made.
Okay. Moni asked, how long does the term determination pending status mean? And what's the typical turnaround for having these types of properties up for sale?
Well, I'm going to say nothing's typical about this process because we've never done it before. So I think it's a turnaround if they're referring to, you know, once you are the approved applicant, which we are targeting April, and you're notified that you're the approved applicant, the turnaround to going to deed will depend on what you're doing. So again, side yard, it should be between 3 and 6 months that you will get the deed. If you're a developer, I mean, in terms of housing, market rate or affordable housing, you will get the deed when you get your permits. And I didn't mention this before, but this is important to know that if you're going to be a housing developer, and people will be working with you both in Department of Housing or in the Department of Planning, depending on if you're affordable or market rate. You will then move into, okay, we'll need more specifics on the design. We'll need more specifics on the financial. And then you will have to get your permit so that when we close on a lot to someone who is going to be a developer, we know that they're ready to build it. Now that may take time, and we will work with the applicant, but you won't get the deed until that work is done.
Okay, now I'm jumping in with a question of my own, and please forgive me if you've already answered this. If I buy a lot next to me or a lot anywhere, and I tell you I'm going to do a community garden or build something on it, but I turn around and sell that lot to someone and they don't do anything, is there any kind of repercussions or anything that?
Well, so we do have, and we've done this with previous sales, there will be a deed restriction that you have to keep it for 5 years because we are not looking for that kind of, buy and sell kind of thing.
Awesome, thank you. Dawn wants to know, how much say does the alderman have in granting these lots? I've heard that my alderman wants lots to be developed with buildings, which is not what I want to do. Is my case doomed?
Well, there's no doom here. So we will be working with the alderman to proceed with the application. So I think it's not just, we are hoping that we do see a lot of proposals, and we do see a lot of proposals for housing because we know that we need to see that in many of the neighborhoods. Those will be every alderman has a different way of working with their community, but the whole process of we'll get 2,000 lots, and I can imagine in a ward where there's going to be 100 that want to build housing, there will be some further conversation before we go to council. So I don't think it's doomed, but there's going to be a back and forth.
All right. Rowena, are there any new programs in existence or plan to increase the capacity of small developers and members of the community to access these lots for development?
Well, I guess I would split that into two. The access is the ChiBlockBuilder, right, to put in an application. I think that also the question is, are there resources for the small developers to do some of this work? We don't have a specific program right now, but there are different things in the works. And again, I would encourage people to apply. And, you know, the more we find out about who wants to build, what they're coming up with, the more we can design programs, right? So this won't be the first time. Again, it's only 2,000 of some 9,000 lots. So we do, you know, sometimes you don't get the application. Sometimes you don't win the first time you try, but I would encourage people to submit anyway, so we can get an idea of what we need, other programs we need to develop.
Okay, and I want to remind people, if you have questions, go into the Q&A chat, not the regular chat, the Q&A chat, so that we can answer your questions. And if we don't get them to them during the webinar, they will be answered in writing. Also,
and Bonnie, can I just add, if you have very specific questions about a lot, put the address in there. That will definitely help us.
see, that's great. And also, you can always go to ChiBlockBuilder.com and see what's there, maybe answer your questions or get more information there. Gabriel, is there a way to know what neighborhoods will be made available? I live in Woodlawn, but notice none of the Woodlawn lots are available.
Well, over time, the lots will be available. All the lots will be available, and the lots in Woodlawn are available just through a different program. That was the RFA that was just discussed.
Okay. Me ask, does the 10% adjacent neighbor mean that the adjacent neighbor is a resident, or can it be a rental property, small local homeowner?
We're looking for resident owners. So yeah, the 10% is to resident owners.
Okay, Deborah, will land sales occur in a timely fashion to allow for construction start before next fall, winter?
Well, that's going to be back and forth, right? I mean, is the applicant ready? Do they have the financing? Do they have the plans? Can they get a building permit? So it depends on how ready people are to build and how ready their applications are. Now, again, we're not asking for all kinds of information in this application, especially when it comes to buildings. We're not asking you to get an architect because at this stage, we don't want you to spend too much money. But you wouldn't need to then, if you're the successful applicant in April, you're going to need to be able to do that kind of stuff to get to a building permit. So I don't know that that can happen by fall of 24, probably more likely for the following year. But it really depends on the readiness of the applicants.
Craig asks, will community approvals be necessary for projects?
Community approval, if we're talking about the community writ large as in a ward, these property, as I said, these sales do need to go through city council, right? So the community of a ward will need to be behind proposals. Now, I don't imagine every single person is ever going to be behind everything, but this is not something that the Department of Planning is just going to go ahead with. There will have to be a community conversation at some point. Yes.
Okay, Deborah asks, Deborah says, we are ready to proceed. Okay.
All right, Deborah, let's go.
Kiara, what is the site to see the list of properties again?
ChiBlockBuilder.com.
See,
Isn't that right here? Oh, we don't have it on it? Oh, yeah.
Okay. Adam, if we are the winning offer, when do we have to close on the property?
Well, again, it'll depend on what you're doing. Side yard owners will probably be within 3 to 6 months. Building will take longer, depending on how long it takes for the applicant to get the building permit.
Okay. James, I am interested in the lots across the street from my house, 436 East 46th Place, and the adjacent lots to it. ChiBlockBuilder states there is a plan in progress, but I have discussed the properties with my alderman's office, and I don't believe there actually is a plan in progress. Is there a way to find out more information?
Yes, and I would encourage you to put that in however we're tracking this, the addresses and what those lots are, and we can get more information. And if if all it says is plan in progress, then there is something behind that. We can give you that information.
Okay, my thing here keeps jumping. Come on, wait, sorry. The questions, there's so many questions coming in that they're jumping. Jackie, addition to previous questions, the address, okay, Jackie just jumped again. Here we go. Address of the lot I live next to is 201 East 70th Street. It is privately owned, but taxes are owed, and I have been maintaining the lot.
So you want to buy it, Jackie, I assume?
Yeah, I
I
guess
would,
so.
again, I think this is a question for the land bank. So the city doesn't have any authority over private land or tax delinquent land. If taxes are owed and there's enough owed, I would definitely contact the Cook County Land Bank and talk to them about how that can happen.
Okay. Tim. Okay, Tim is giving a general heads up for folks. Building permit process for a single family home will take approximately 6 months from start to design to award of permit. Okay, I'm sorry. It's there's so many. How long, this is from Shamarla. How long will a property, okay, will be under environmental review before it can be purchased?
Well, it's just a matter of we have so many, right? So if we can, I don't have a concrete answer to that, but we would like to continue to market at the scale we are at about 2,000. So it's just a process that we'll have to get through. But we're continually doing it. So it took us time to develop a system to do this kind of environmental review. And the city people who did this have done a great job. And I have to say that unlike any other city that we're aware of that has done this kind of environmental review to get these properties ready. So we're consistently working on it. So, we're just going to keep at it.
Okay.
But again, use that I'm interested button if there's property you want, so we know where people want us to prioritize that environmental review.
Okay. Is there a limit on the amount of lots you can acquire, rehab, and sale?
There's not a limit. We don't have a specific limit, but we don't have a specific limit for you to apply. No. Doesn't mean you're going to get everything, but we're not restricting necessarily.
Jacqueline asked, if you are an organization church with lot next door to your property, can you still purchase at discount price?
That is a good question. I'm gonna stumping me here. I think that Maggie, are you on? Did she go? Oh, let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, I think I would say, let me try to find the question. Can you repeat the question, Bonnie? Sorry.
The
I don't see
question,
why not.
the question is, if you are an organization or church who has a lot next door, can you buy the lot at a discount price? So I guess if you're a nonprofit or something.
Yeah, if you own the building and you're the occupant, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, Maggie, do you?
Yeah, I think that we don't have the side yard scenario imagines a homeowner. However, it doesn't have to. I think that entity should absolutely submit an application. We will work with you on that.
Okay. Eric says, I was given permission to put up a fence around my side yard and 2 city lots, which are all adjacent many years ago, which are now up for sale. I need to now move the fence, and I'm not sure how far to only cover my side yard. Can I get help in determining where the property line is between my lot and the start of city lots. So where should he go for that, maybe?
I think Eric should email info@ChiBlockBuilder.com and we will help.
Okay.
Yeah, Maggie's the expert on figuring that out, Maggie and Elaine.
Okay. Cherish has a concern. So developers that do not live on the block can submit application, but a Chicago resident that does not live in the block cannot submit an application?
No, that's not correct. That's not correct. I mean, of course, a Chicago resident can submit an application, and as can a developer. Right.
Okay.
It's not about the who, it's about what program you apply to and what you're doing.
George states, I put in an application for a lot for side yard, which is adjacent to my home at 534 West 61st Street, approximately a year and a half ago. Do I need to start another application or just continue to wait?
I'm gonna say we're tracking you and we're working on that, but if you have any concerns, put it in the chat so we can confirm that. We have a
Okay.
list of everyone we have a list, and we have been diligently working, and again, I apologize, on all the applications that we have had for side yards and large lots. But if you're worried, just make sure we know, and we'll have somebody call you to confirm that that is in process.
Okay, because he states he is paid for the appraisal and
Yes, oh yeah, well then he definitely, but let me know. And the reason you're stalled is because we had to stall projects to do the environmental reviews during that time period before we can move ahead. But you should not have to apply, nor should your lot be available for sale.
Okay, Sarah wants to clarify. If you are looking to develop land for affordable housing, buy, develop, and then sell, will you still have to hold the land for 5 years? I heard a mention of having to hold the deed for
Right.
5 years.
In that respect, when I was talking about the 5 years, that was for side yards. If you're doing affordable housing, then you will be working with the Department of Housing, and whatever the way they do it, which is usually, I shouldn't say this because I don't know, but they do work with developers to sell land. So that 5-year thing is particular to the side yard, to the vacant land. If you're building a house, we would expect in many cases that that's going to be sold.
Okay. If you are a landlord, can you buy the adjacent lot?
Again, if you own the building, Maggie, I think you should be able, if you own and live there, you should be able to buy, yes.
Okay.
And you can always buy, the question is 10%.
Okay. Jesus, site planning. How in depth does this need to be for a community garden?
We're not looking for you to hire a landscape architect and design a lot and identify all the plants. We are looking for things like, are you going to fence it right away? And what kind of basic things are you going to do? Do you intend to put some picnic tables there? It doesn't have to be very complex, but we are looking to make sure that you are going to do something with the space that shows the world that someone's taking care of it and that it's active for the community.
Okay, Corey wants to know, is only a 10% down payment needed initially?
There's no 10% down payment. We're only doing it, what we're doing is a 10% price for certain lots that we're off. So we're on the website, we show the market value of every lot. In certain cases, for side yards, for example, if you're the adjacent owner, you can buy it for 10% of value. We're not expecting any 10% down payment from applicants.
Okay. I'm going down here. Okay. I am the owner of a home at 119th and Union, and I submitted a request of interest for the lot at 100 at next door at 146, which is adjacent to my home for the side yard program. When will I be notified the next steps for this lot? When will this lot be available for purchase? And is there a way I can be notified first rather than third-party builders or anyone outside of the residential area.
So depending on when you put that letter of interest in, so if we haven't done that, so we had a question earlier about someone who had already paid for the appraisal for the side yard. That particular project means that it happened before we opened this, so we will be tracking that one. In this instance, it sounds like they may have just submitted a letter of interest and we didn't start processing it. In that case, I would encourage you to apply on ChiBlockBuilder as a side yard applicant.
Okay, Elena is an artist and she was wondering, she wants to build a structure on the side yard. And sorry, Elena, your question just, okay. To paint on for the community to enjoy. Is that something that that would apply for this type of purchase?
Well, it sounds like she wants to do some kind of open space, either as a side yard owner or as a nonprofit or some other kind of applicant. So if it's just like an artistic structure on a side yard in a residential area or in a vacant lot in a residential area, yeah, that would be eligible by zoning, unless it's so big, it looks like a garage. But yeah, that sounds eligible.
Okay, E. Huey asks, how do I get an application?
ChiBlockBuilder.com. Sign on and just follow the process that Margaret went through earlier.
Okay. Wait, hold on. There is a corner, and please forgive me if I've done this already, Todd, because things are jumping. There is a corner lot across the street from my home. I have maintained the lot for 3 years, picking up trash, cutting the grass. We're planning on a community garden. Is fencing a requirement? If so, how immediately?
Fencing will be a requirement if it is not an adjacent owner lot. But yes, we will be looking for fencing. Sounds like a good project. I would encourage you to move.
Okay. I am going up, hold on. Could you please drop the link for the RFP for woodlawn lots owned by the city of Chicago? So should they go to ChiBlockBuilders.com, or is there another email that they should go to? For
I can,
Go
I'll
ahead.
look up info. So I believe the Woodlawn RFA program closed maybe last month, but I'll drop a link in the chat with information about ongoing projects in Woodlawn.
Okay. I am going up. We're going pretty soon to the end of our live question answering. Okay. Brandon says, if you were withholding the deed until building permits are approved, is the city permit department going to be aware of this program and be prepared to issue permits for lots not yet owned by the applicant?
Yeah, well, I don't know exact answer to that question, but we will certainly helping with that coordination. Yeah.
Okay. Vanessa asks, will the successful buyer receive a copy of the environmental report for their lot?
They can get the environmental information, yes. They will get something specific. It'll be a write-up from the department that does that with every closing. So yeah, we do, and we definitely want to provide that information to people when they close.
Okay. Tim asks, will we know if we are the only applicant for a lot or if there are competing proposals?
You know, we really haven't discussed that, and I don't know that we're going to like, maybe if we, you know, like when you get a letter, there were many applicants, but we haven't really talked about whether we're going to let you know that there's one or the other. And I don't know when we would do that. So,
okay, Vi asks, how and does our application stay private and our proprietary ideas stay with when applying? So will the application and their ideas be private?
Well, I think Margaret showed on the application that you need to give the city permission to review the application. So we don't intend to publish them, if that's the question. And I don't think that they are either, foyable. So I think that would be private information. Yeah. It's not our intent to share that with people, other than people that need to review it.
Okay. Hold on.
However, I want to clarify that if you are the winning applicant and housing, then that will be probably shared there may be a community conversation about developments.
All right. Nakia wants to know how much of an increase in price will there be if you live in the neighborhood but not on the block? Is there a checks and balances to ensure lots are going to city residents and the years after?
The priority is for city residents of the block, local developers. But that does not mean that other people cannot apply or that won't be winning applicants. And that's partly why we need to have a community conversation on some of these. But it is not restricted, but the priority is definitely, residents of the block and of the city.
Okay, Brandy says, will we be responsible for any violations or water bills?
Now we're gonna clear that all up for you, and if you don't, we'll clear it up. Yeah, we're selling you property that we know the value, it's been environmentally clear, the taxes are gone, any city, like you said, water bills, all that is cleared up. That's a process, and that's partly sometimes why it takes a little longer, because we have to do all of that so that you don't have to.
Okay, Deborah asks, can you identify the financial package available for the affordable housing component? It will be necessary to create the plan that will be used in the plan to purchase.
No, I cannot identify the financial package that the Department of Housing provides. I don't know that that's the case, but I would go, if you're looking to do affordable housing, you should go through the process that Margaret described, go to the affordable housing web application, and you will get more information in that way.
Okay, Tim asks, do we have rights to order a survey prior to receiving the deed to the lot that's necessary to receive a building permit?
You mean if you're the successful applicant, which I don't think you'd want to do that before then. I'm sure we can figure that out. Yeah.
Okay. Portia asks, will there be someone to help them draw out the ideas or go over how much their project would cost? So I guess once you get the lot, will there be help in helping you develop the lot, maybe?
Well, I guess that really depends. Well, okay, let me put it this way. If it's a market rate housing project, there will be planners in the Department of Planning in the regions that will work with you on the successful applicants. If you're affordable, that will be the Department of Housing. If you're doing open space, then that would be, we would also provide some assistance with that in planning, yes.
All right, Sandra asks, can you explain the eligible, wait a minute, where does Sandra go? Can you explain the eligible applicant price again?
So in certain instances, eligible applicants will be able to buy property for 10% of the market value. So if the property is appraised at 2,000, you're paying 200. Some of those applicants are, if you're a resident owner adjacent to the property, it's 10%. If you're doing and Margaret, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're doing an open space, it's 10, if the nonprofit, it's 10, it could be 10% as well. And those are the two main areas.
Okay, Kimberly.
Oh, wait, and one other thing, affordable housing, that could be different. That could be 10% or lower if you're going through an affordable housing program.
Okay, and I would just want to let everyone know that we are now going to take the last two questions. And don't worry, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. If you didn't get on here, your question will be answered in writing. And you can always go to ChiBlockBuilder.com for information of everything. And so don't panic. So we're taking our last two questions now. Kimberly, when purchasing a city lot and approved, do we go through the additional process of closing costs such as title transfer, et cetera? So the price is the percentage of market value, but also any additional closing costs so we have to budget more than the price we see?
Good question. I'm getting to the end. Yeah, the additional closing cost is around, I don't know if Nelson's on here, between $50 and $300. I know there's 50 in recording fees. I don't know, but it's somewhere along. Nelson, can you answer that question? Are you coming? There he is. Otherwise, it's somewhere between $50 and $300. And we will be also getting title permits as well.
Okay. And our last question is from Kai. Could the ChiBlockBuilder team provide recommendations on specific lots that would be good for open space development, maybe not very competitive for other use cases or neighborhoods interested in getting more green space?
Well, how I would answer that question, and given the nature of the lots that we're selling, most of the open space is going to depend on who's going to take care of it, right? A successful open space depends on a community to take care of it. We're not talking about park district here. We're talking about communities taking care of it. So in our experience, the most successful lots are the ones where there's a community that can take it on. And that really varies. So it's not really, some areas are more important than others. It's who wants to take on that responsibility and create that open space.
Okay, one more question. Will this webinar be available after today?
I'm going to say yes. We're recording it, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right.
And I think we'll probably post it. I'm going to go on a limb here. It'll be available through ChiBlockBuilder.
That sounds good. We want to thank everyone who participated in this webinar. Each and every one of you are important. Each and every one of your questions was important. And so if you have any more questions, make sure you go to ChiBlockBuilder.com. Don't worry if you weren't answered here. They will be answered in writing. We want to thank all of our panelists here, all of the people that were here to give information to you. So, as I would say on my radio show, until next time, keep your eye to the sky and make sure you visit ChiBlockBuilder.com. Thank you.